Hello, and today I'll be your host, Ronald Alvarado, and we will talk about, in today's podcast, we'll talk about the strategies utilized during the civil rights movement for protesting. And today I'll be accompanied by Marlon Cruz and Ricardo Lopez. So first, I'll have you gentlemen talk about your certain strategy, and we will start with Marlon.
Thanks, Ronald. The strategy I'm going to talk about today is the occupation strategy, which is a non-violence. Most of the time, it's a non-violence strategy used by a lot of social movement, which is basically to take a place for a long period of time. This can be a public or private place. Uh, Basically, when you are in occupation, you use this place as your tool to achieve your goals. Uh, a curious thing about it is that occupation has been considered illegal a lot of time with the difference that because unlike other social movements, occupation should take a long period of time in which people is living in bad condition and they are in risk of getting sick because of the lack of clean water, food, electricity, between others.
Okay, thank you very much, Marlon. And now we will go to Ricardo with his strategy.
Thanks, Ronald. I will talk about police patrols. Basically, they monitor the police to decrease the police brutality, but limiting the interaction between police and community. Also, they document all interaction with the police.
Thank you for your analysis on this, Ricardo. Uh, would you guys mind explaining me who were the groups who utilized the strategies during the civil rights movement? We will start with Marlon and then move on to Ricardo.
Thanks, Ronald. So I got two examples of social movement that use the strategy of occupation. And first of all, I'm gonna talk about the Poor People campaign. The Poor People campaign was organized in 1968 by the Dr. Martin Luther King and the Southern Christian leadership, but it didn't start until Dr. King died. In April 4th of 1968, it became led by Ralph Albertani. This occupation took place in Washington, D.C. So basically, next to the Washington movement, they built a little camp, which they label as the Resurrection City, with the belief of everyone has the right to have what they need to live, an annual income, a decent housing for everyone. It doesn't matter their color or their race. The second movement that it used this occupation was the occupation of Alcatraz by the American Indian movement. It happens during the 1969 when the Native American people took over the rock or Alcatraz. They were protesting that the land belongs to them due to the Treaty of Fort Laramie, also called the Sioux Treaty, which basically said that when the government stops using a land, it becomes a native land, but it didn't happen when Alcatraz closed in 1963. It was an occupation of 14 months. The American Indian movement was asking that this land belongs to them, and they wanted to build a school or a museum that represent their culture, because their culture basically was lost because in the past the native kids were forced to attend to boarding schools and they were not able to learn about their own cultures. So basically the native culture was lost because of this. So the American Indian movement was asking to build a school or a museum that represent their culture.
Thanks for your response, Marlon. And now we will be on to Ricardo to explain the groups who utilize these strategies.
Thanks, Ronald. First, I will talk about the Black Panther Party. It was created in 1966 with the purpose of self-defense. Their patrols carry weapons, but they use for intimidate the police and decrease the police brutality. So basically, they observe the police that they did not abuse their power against the black people. The American Indian movements, their patrols carry walkie-talkies and hard cars to communicate. Also, they did not interfere physically with the police. Therefore, they carry cameras, take records to document all the action of police against the Native American.
Up next, guys, I'll ask you to compare your movements. We will start with Marlon and followed by Ricardo.
So the difference between these two movements was that Alcatraz belongs to the American Indian movement. So they were protesting in their own lands. Legally, Alcatraz belongs to them due to the treaty. So that's the main difference between these two. Also, a big difference that I noticed is that the Birds People campaign was a multiracial movement that was like just poor people. It doesn't matter their color, their race, all of this. So that's two of the main difference between these two movements. Also, we can say that the occupation of Alcatraz took more time than the First People campaign.
Tactics that American Indian movements used was document all activity of police to have evidence if any Native American were unjustified arrested for the police, and the tactics the Black Panther used was to intimidate the police with their weapons using that for self-defense.
So, what are you guys' opinions about the strategies?
I think this is a good strategy. I like it because you go there and say, here we are, and we are asking for this. As Martin Luther King said, that everyone should be able to go to Washington and say, here we are poor people because of you. You made us like that, so you should do something about it. I admire all these people who actually was part of this protest because I know to make this protest to make occupation is not easy because you have to like basically live there without without clean water. Sometimes you don't have clean water, you don't have electricity. It happens with the occupation of Alcatraz because it was an island. It was so hard to get food or clean water, even electricity, because the government shut down the electricity of Alcatraz when it was happened. So it make more difficult to live there. So for that, I think the people who was part of this movement was brave people and it is just amazing. And you, what do you think about it? I would like to know your opinion. I would like to know what did you learn in this podcast.
I see that the movements are different and the things that they did, and apparently one of you guys' movement overlapped. The American Indian movement overlapped, and it's good that they tried different strategies. I see that both of these strategies are useful, and I can see now why the occupation strategy is called illegal in many places. I'm thankful um, for your guys' opinions, and I really enjoyed today as an experience. Thank you guys for the comparison. I'm sorry, but we've run out of time. Thanks today. Thank you guys for being able to participate in this podcast, and I'll be glad and look forward to working more with you in the future.